Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Local Pundit. I'm Josh Anthony. This is your Wrexham reaction for match day 28, where Wrexham fall 3-1 to Salford City, and that wasn't even that close. Had a loss today. Didn't show up. We're gonna get into the reaction, get into the stats, get into Parkinson's quotes. Smash a like on the video if you can. Welcome. As you can see on the thumbnail, it says "not good enough." That is a quote, straight quote from Parkinson. And even the hot take guys, which I just listened to. So thanks for putting that in there. But yeah, I didn't even, I don't even know what to say, but there's a lot to say. That's just one of those games. And, we'll get in, so people can have their say as well. But yeah, we lost 3-1 to Salford City, and it wasn't great. We had a Vessel scored for them, Watt on a corner, and Smith had a great goal at the end for them. And we had a Dalby 41-minute goal. And, it was a tough loss today, but get in, subscribe. We've been all over it. We've been all over it on the Discord. So thanks for everyone getting involved in the Discord. And we got to take the wins with the losses. So let's dive into it a little bit here. We are Wrexham says, "Who's lurking?" I'm lurking. I'm here. Just had to go out for a little bit, have some breakfast with the missus, aka producer Ann, and now we're in. So let's get involved in the chat. We'll have some people come in later. Let's have their say. We'll keep it moving as much as possible. But it's the machine is here. Hunter Barrow. Am I missing the lurking stuff? I don't get it. Anyways, okay. Let's talk stats real quick. Unfortunately, because there's a Carol. Hello. Kieran is here as well. Stats real quick. I want to talk about that. 51 to 49% possession, 18 shots for them, 6 shots for us, 9 shots on target, 1 on goal, 9 corners to 3. There was 31 fouls in the match, and I just thought we got played off the park today. I don't care what anyone says. I don't give a shit. When we positive, all that stuff. Today we got absolutely smoked. I thought we would come in with a little bit better plan. The plan went to crap. They were all over us. I think we need to have a look in the mirror, and I think that's what Parkinson talked about in his post-match game talk. And he seemed pretty down, but we got to wrap our heads around what happened. Blaming the pitch, long balls going in, new guys coming in. We talked about tactics with Ivan, and we'll probably get him on later too. And anyone else that wants to come on as well, please come on and have your say. But today we were crap. We have no plan A, no plan B, and it's not like how we normally play. So very, very disappointing, and we just got to bounce back. Carol in HR is here. Carol. Aaron says, "Hey guys, how you doing, Aaron?" And Kieran UTC is here. Kieran, who is a Newport fan. Kieran, if you want to come on, love to get you. I don't know if you watched the game. Love to get your take on as well. So let me know if you want to join. One shot on goal, F and hell. You didn't watch the game, but love to get some thoughts anyway. So if you feel like coming in, come on in. But I'm going to talk about what Parkinson said after the match, and then like I said, my take was we looked terrible at the back. We kept lumping the ball. I would love someone to risk their own sanity to watch that game back and see how many one-touch long balls we put up and how many headers were in that match. I bet you couldn't even count how many headers were there. I bet you the ball wasn't on the ground more than it was in the air. So it's absolutely crazy. Karen, I'll get you in. Give me 2 minutes and I'll bring you in. I'm just going to read what Parkinson said, and then even though you didn't watch the match, it'd be great to have another perspective in regards to the league and what's going on. But let's do this Wrexham reaction real quick, and then we'll talk about it. So 1 shot on target, 6 total shots for us. Parkinson said it twice, and that's why that's on the thumbnail. And that's why Parkinson's on the thumbnail. I'm not blaming Parkinson. I'm not blaming individuals. He said he wasn't going to blame individuals, but what the is going on? That was horrific. Absolutely horrific. So here's some of the quotes he said. He was not good enough. He said it twice. We have dips, and teams that have quality have success, and we need to recover from them. We need to respond on the trading pitch. So I'm not. These aren't quotes, but these are blitz of his quotes, like his one-liners. Teams that have dips, the ones that recover quickly have success. So that needs to happen. We've lost 3 on the bounce. Need to respond on the trading pitch. He did blame the pitch. He said it was bubbly, but both teams played on that pitch. And Ivan made a great point on the right after the match. We were talking Ivan and what's his name? Ivan and Mike about both teams played on there. Now we just brought in Bolt, who has played on that pitch for the last few months, and he came on and he seemed fine with it. Granted that game was over at that point. Why didn't we start him? Yeah, gentleman's agreement. My ass. You put him in the pit. You put him in there. He said he wants to get on the training ground. Have to find a way to get into the physical encounter. Yeah, that's one thing we do not. We get bullied around because we don't have time on the ball. We just want to get rid of it. It's just get rid of it. It's like no one wants to. Like Gio wants to step on the ball and wants to put a 5 or a 10-yard pass, but there's no one to pass to. It's just get rid of it. Hot potato. That's what that game was. Hot potato at the back. Hot potato at the front. No one's coming to the ball. No movement. The physical encounters. I mean, that guy Tilt and Hussey, whatever the hell is Tilt and the other guy were manhandling our players. Dalby, for one, who's a big unit, and Moles, who goes at it. We're both getting pulled and tugged. And granted, I don't think the ref did himself any favors. Hairy arms, hairy arms. Probably shave those tomorrow now at this. Watch, I'm going to shave these tomorrow. Be like this, just because of that damn ref, the American ref. And I know we're having a little bit of a rant, but fuck it, we're going to have a little bit of a rant. Let's do this. We have to, he said, no physicality. We were afraid of the physicality. I don't know what it is. We're touch tight. They're doing the dark arts, pulling on the shirts, all that stuff. And we're just like falling to the ground, doing this to the ref, asking mommy for a trophy. No, you got to get in, you got to battle, got to work hard. That's crap. He said we gave away cheap goals. Cheap goals. Okay, were they cheap goals? It was a corner. It was a great kick by him. It was great. The first goal, whatever, AO. We'll talk about AO, and I want to get other people's involved with the AO talk later because I do like him. I just don't know what's going on with him. They were blaming the wind, that he was kicking the ball into the wind. It was going out. Okay, fair point. It's not, the pitch is the same size everywhere, but he's aiming. You can see him setting up and putting the ball to the left, and it's going out. You can see it. It's going out of the park every single time. One he put up straight up. It was like me hitting a 9-iron straight up in the air, and I suck at golf. And mine went further. He said we need to be brave and show more quality. This is Parkinson again. Have to have calmness, take the ball down, and make a 5 to 10-yard pass, which we did not do. Didn't do that at all. We didn't have enough, and we didn't accept that we were. What the fuck did I write here? We didn't do enough, and we have to accept that and have to have a good look at ourselves, me included, meaning Parkinson himself. We're looking forward to doing that on the pitch this week. The training pitch. Well, we better do something. He said he hasn't been there this long, and it hasn't been this too many bad runs of form. This is clearly a bad run of form. There's something. I'm not saying it's broken. It can be fixed. We have 54 points left to go, and we did drop into fourth, which is tough. But there's plenty of time. Not to get crazy, but it's a look in the mirror time. One of those things. He mentioned it was good to have Hayden and Tunnicliffe back. I didn't think Hayden covered himself in glory today. He won a lot of headers, but he was the culprit, the number one culprit of putting the ball into the channel, going to the goalkeeper or going out of bounds, and no one was getting to that ball all game long. Tunnicliffe, not for me. Sorry. Both Jack, he's talked about the new signings. Both Jack Marriott and Bolt look bright. No shit. Should have started both of them. Haven't had a lot of time at the training ground, but he said he had to change the formation when they came on. Don't know why. It was over at the time they came on. His subs were too late today. That's on Parkey. That is on Parkinson. I would have been halftime subs. He said next week have a rare home game in February. Yeah, that's where we need to get started. We need to come back with determination. No shit. That should have been this game. Strong position in the league. Yes, we are. We are in fourth. We have 2 games in hand. Have to find a way to do better. Start with a home game and respond next week. We haven't lost back-to-back league games, including a cup game you mentioned. That's that. Okay. That's my rant of his rant. This is the hot take afterwards because I just listened to it. You guys put it in the chat. It's good. It's good to everybody. It was good to see Parkey take a tiny bit of accountability. Hopefully he's honest with himself and we can change course. Has to be done. Here's the hot take. And as I do that, look, anyone is welcome. Even Kieran who wants to have a go at us, which is totally fine. You can see the game. Come on in. Everyone is welcome. I know there's not a ton of people in here, but Christ, if I don't breathe, I'm gonna pass out. Here's the hot take afterwards. Okay. And whoever put it in the Discord, thank you very much because I'm glad I listened to that for coming on. This is Griffith and the other guy. I can't think of his name. This is the hot take. Just the highlights here. Worst performance of the season. No complaints. Didn't create anything. No individual brilliance, which I want to bring up because Ivan brings that up all the time. We're waiting for individual brilliance, and that's what you got to have a team concept. What's going on? You can't just like come out of nowhere and pop up and be like, shit, I have an amazing cracking goal. No, we need a full team performance, and that was not it. So no individual brilliance. Lumping the ball. This is the hot take, guys. I don't know the other guy's name. I apologize. Mark Griffith, the other guy. He said it's a tough result in our worst performance of the season. Away form has to get better. We want to remain challenging for the title, or at least staying in the promotion positions. They had 9 corners. They were more threatening. They were up for it. We were not. We were disappointing. This is actually Griffith. I know that because I marked that down here. He said we couldn't deal with the physicality. They got in our faces and they pressed us. We played long balls. We conceded dumb goals. AO makes some saves, but he didn't look strong. We were only lucky to concede only 3, and they thought Andy Cannon was the man of the match. Okay. Andy Cannon was the man of the match. I don't know. I didn't see it. I wouldn't give a man of the match to anybody. But come in, please. Have your say. It was a rough go. It was a really, really rough go. The leader here, this is what they were talking about their response to the game. Let me see. Let's check this out. If this will come up, my internet will work today, which isn't working. Great. Garen's coming on. All right, there we go. Hello. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, good to see you too, mate. How are we?
As you can tell, we're not doing that good today. You didn't get a chance to see the match, but you saw the result?
I did see the result, yeah, and I was with a few of my mates while we were obviously just kind of reviewing all the results after our game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when I saw them, I think you were 1-0 down after stupidly early on, and then you very quickly went 2-0 down, and we were all messaging in the WhatsApp group chat, like, what's going on? We always, every time we go to Salford, we always have a poor record there because it's such a small ground and they're so kind of, I suppose the fans are so close to the pitch that it almost makes an uncomfortable atmosphere for us to play in, especially. So I didn't really expect you to, be 2-0 down in the first half. And there was part of me that expected, in the context that this season has been, pardon the cliche, but very Hollywood for you in the context of results. You've been going down 1 or 2 goals and you'll come back. I saw you go 2-1 and I thought for a second, are they going to come back? But based off the stats and everything, it looked like Salford did, as you said, rightly so, play you off the park, so to speak.
Yeah, we did not show up to the match, and we have a couple guys that come on and do a little tactical analysis, which is great. Before I move on, and everybody, give a little just background of yourself. I know we're doing the Wrexham reaction here, but give a little background to yourself and how, what you do. And I know you do a lot of League 2 stuff, so you have a good account of what's going on in the league.
Yeah, so I'm a Newport County fan, the other team in Wales. So I'm not exactly an expert on Wrexham, but very rightly put by you there. I do quite a bit of kind of searching on League 2, and I like to keep up to date on the entire table. So it's always good fun to, speak to other fans and come on to shows not regarding my club to kind of have an unbiased opinion. And I say that as, of course, the argument that I could be biased given it's 2 Welsh clubs and I might have that kind of stigmatism. But personally, I think for the most part, I'll kind of say it how it is without that kind of biased opinion to it, because it doesn't involve my club at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it's able to look at, and I think we had a little bit of back and forth. And again, if anyone wants to chat with Kieran and come on as well, we can talk things through. We'll do a little bit of more reaction. We'll just have a general conversation. I think I had my say. As our performance today, we definitely didn't show up. And like I said, I know you haven't seen the match, but you've seen Parkinson manage in other teams, obviously in the league. Today, he was a little bit stubborn, didn't bring subs on until very late. That's part. He's at 950 matches, and just things didn't change. I don't know. What do you know about Salford, and what did we not expect? What did we walked into a buzzsaw today?
The thing that I always tend to notice with Salford is that they're a very tricky team to break down. They're their centre-back kind of combinations and the defending they have. Curtis Tild, when I saw that he signed for Salford, that's a ridiculous signing. He's played kind of higher up in the divisions, and there's been a lot of centre-backs that have done that this season. You've had Richard Wood, Doncaster. We've even had Ryan Delaney, and you've had kind of players come in from higher in the league. And the situation with Salford, I think that their position in the table, it's very low down. I don't think it compensates how they play. They recently got their new manager in, and since then, I don't even Carl Robinson, their new manager, and ever since then, in terms of the past 5 games, they're joint top on the form table. Yeah. So I understand why you potentially would have went into that game with a lot of confidence and a lot of kind of a thought process that, you'll go in and easily beat them. But I understand your away record has been far from kind of not an acceptable standard, but not quite how you'd want it to be, given how good your home record is. And I don't think in the entire time that I've supported Newport, or even that Salford and Newport have been in the same division, I don't think we've ever beaten them at their ground. So that itself speaks for how kind of solid they are at home, despite how small their ground is and how low down on the table they are. They're a very kind of deceiving club in that regard. They play some solid football, but I think the reason they're so low down on the table is because, yes, they have glimpses and they have games where they play phenomenal football and they look like they can beat any team, but they are in the games inevitably where they're just poor and below par.
Yeah, it's very interesting you talk about Tilt and the other guy, Vassell. So we kept pumping the ball down into the channel, just lumping the ball. Ball was in the other all the time. But Tilt was in back all the time, knocking Mullis to the ground, Dalby. Anyone he came through was like blocking him off. Very, very physical. And we just had no time up front to get anything done. So bringing him up is very interesting. I was surprised to see that. But, you're right. They might be ninth in the table, but they did not play like that today at all.
Yeah, definitely not. And, I think Tilt's always the first one that I go into when talking about Salford. Of course, Cam Hendry and all these other players are dangerous in their own regard. But in terms of Curtis Tilt, he, like you said, he's very physical centre-back. He's quite tall. He is built to be that stopper centre-back, so to speak, the one that doesn't take any nonsense and will outmuscle attackers. But the difference with him and a lot of defenders rather, with similar builds, not even in this division on its own, even League One, League Two, he has the attribute of he's quick as well. He's not a slow centre back by any stretch. Don't get me wrong, he'll definitely prefer to be, positioned to where he doesn't have to essentially race an attacker, and I think that is just a general thing that defenders want to do. But he has, in terms of what you want for a League Two centre-back, he kind of has it all. The only thing you potentially say he doesn't do is he doesn't play the ball forward, or he doesn't potentially be ambitious with his runs and take the ball up the field. But he doesn't need to do that because the team around him it's really well balanced when it wants to be anyway.
In the middle of the park for us, we have not been using it today. A big example was we had no time on the ball. Gio, who is really good, I call him Gio, it's George Evans, had no time on the ball. We just kept lumping it. And, unfortunately, it's just like we had nothing. Here, I'm going to bring another Ivan. We had nothing. We had no solution to it, too. So it was very, very frustrating. Ivan, Kieran, Ivan, here you go. This is our League Two guy does a lot of League Two work. Ivan's been coming on lately with a little tactical analysis here. So if you want to share some thoughts there too, Ivan. He's a Newport County fan, but he seems to have level head, which is great.
Awesome. Hey, Kieran, how are you? Great to have you here.
Yeah, I'm not bad at all, man. I hope you're well.
All good, thank you. Now, I was really enjoying your analysis and your sort of in-depth knowledge of the local grounds and the local players. Because for us, I'm in New Zealand, and obviously been following Wrexham for only a couple of years, 2-3 years. We don't really know much of the sort of small-time League Two, League One players. So it's great to have your perspective on that.
Yeah, I'm not, I'm not by any means a League Two expert, but there's a few players that I like to kind of dwell into because, you like I've said many times, you look at Salford and you go, like, they don't have anything special. But some of the players they've got, like Luke Garbutt, their left back, he used to, play in the Championship and league, like higher ends of League One with Blackpool's. They've got a very deceiving squad for their position in the table. And I think that's something that every team, for the most part, in League Two has, is a couple of players that you'll recognise and a couple of players that you'll go, how are they playing there in a team that, aren't as high up the table as you'd expect for their qualities.
Mm-hmm. And from your experience,
Go ahead. I would say on reflection. Go ahead. Do you then see what you're done a couple hours after the match here, and to see what your thoughts were.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to ask Kieran about this style of playing that Salford displayed today. It was rather sort of up and down, north-south type of football. They did not strive to keep the ball on the ground either. Is that what they usually do, or is just due to the pitch? Or,
I mean, as someone who isn't a Salford fan, I don't watch them week in, week out. But in terms of watching them when we went up to their place, they tend to have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C in terms of how they attack. They've got a very good kind of energy about them in terms of the work ethic their players are willing to put in terms of transitioning from defence to attack. And they've got a level of, especially with their new manager, of Carl Robinson, he's very good from the kind of experience that I've seen of him in being able to adapt to play teams and make it awkward for oppositions to play football how they want to do it. Yeah, in terms of how they played, like I said earlier on, I didn't watch the game, but I've seen the stats and everything, and it almost felt like, just from looking at the stats and you look at the numbers, and for the most part, it just looked like they cancelled you out and kind of just played to your weaknesses as opposed to playing to their individual strengths.
I think it's a good point. Let's shift that over to like Parkinson, and Ivan had a give it a thought at it. And I know we just played you guys, and you guys beat us. And ask Ivan what he thought about Parkinson's thoughts afterwards, and how going back into to what you guys did to us. What are your thoughts there? First on the
well, I think I would combine both games together in this respect, because Parkinson, for one reason or another, doesn't change the tactics. He doesn't change the style of play much. I think he got figured out. The thing is that with the system that we are playing, 3-5-2, you pretty much have two options when you are pressed. And we are noticing more and more that the team that are pressing us aggressively, they are usually successful. All right, especially away. We have to remember that the football itself, the game itself, doesn't recognize whether you're playing home or away. What the difference is the top 2 inches of the players. All right. So, and basically with the high press, with the aggressive press at 3-5-2, you either break out through the press with a short and medium pass, or you exploit the gap that high press creates on the opposition and you launch a long ball. Okay, so essentially, I'm simplifying things, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's your only two ways of getting out of the press. You either receive pass, move off, or you continue that carousel and moving the ball around. You swing it from side to side, and you find the hole in the press and you exploit the gap, or you launch it forward. The second option is usually easier, and that's what we are doing all season long. And that is just not working, because with a physical team like Salford, having tall center backs, having aggressive style of play, asking Mullen or Dolby to win those balls and keeping those holding on to those balls, it's a lot to ask. It's a lot to ask. They will not let you have that, and I think that's exactly what they wanted to do. They wanted us to start playing those long balls, and they exploited that.
Karen, you guys seem to have figured out Parkinson in the last game too. Granted, we went down to 10 men. Before you say, Ivan needs to drop his audio a bit. Speaking a little bit. I don't know how that works, but I don't know if there's something to do there.
I can literally only mute myself. That's all I can do with the mic here.
It sounds fine on my end, but yeah. Kieran, on that, talking about Parkinson, and obviously, what you guys did to us, I think you guys did a really good job. Granted, there wasn't a lot of creativity, but creation on our end. Parkinson, and like talking today about getting back and looking within ourselves. You guys did beat us. What are your thoughts there about Parkinson? Some people are like, get rid of him, all this stuff. So, not that you're Parkinson, but what do you think?
I think the thing with Parkinson, it's a thing that I've heard a lot of Wrexham fans talk about, and it's not just you two, is that he has one way of playing. He doesn't really change from this one way or another of kind of just attacking by long balls or short passes. He doesn't really adapt from the two. And very similar to Salford, or at least from what it sounds like, we pressed you and we relied on you. We relied on you doing these long balls. Yeah, that's what we relied on, because we don't play overly similar to Salford, or at least from what I saw. There's definitely the same kind of work ethic, but the way we get from point A to point B it's a little different. You'd argue we probably take a bit longer than Salford do. They just kind of like to take one or two passes, get it up to the opposite end as quick as possible. Or at least that's from, what I saw when I've watched Salford this season. Mm-hmm. Given they've changed managers since, but you'd probably say that the concept for the style of play is roughly similar. But what we did in terms of, finding out how to kind of counter Parkinson, I think this is something that if managers do clock on to, and this, I don't know whether they're starting to, but it feels like, you're starting to become a little bit more inconsistent with your form. And I think the reason that you get through a lot of the games, even the ones you win away, is because your team on paper is quality. There's no denying that. You do have very good players for the standard of this league. Yep. Mm-hmm. But what I do question, because we were able to counter you by pressing you and just making you uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. That's the very simple way to counter Parkinson's style of football. The thing I question about him, and I'm not saying this as a hit piece on him or get him gone out of Wrexham, but he needs to evolve his football to understand that if he's being pressed, he needs a way to counter that isn't booted up the field, because mm-hmm. that very much in Newport's hands, in Salford's hands, that works to them, because at the end of the day, they win the ball back and they can just run it up the other end of the field and do exactly the same thing again, but just with more options up front. So I suppose the thing that, I noticed about Parkinson, and you've mentioned it, other people have mentioned it, he doesn't have a plan B and a plan C. And I think especially in League Two or even in League One, you need to have multiple ways of playing teams, because they don't all play the standard football of nowadays of tiki-taka, keep the ball away from you. There's many ways to play football. And, that's something that he kind of, I don't suppose, needs to learn. I'm sure he knows that there's more ways than one of playing football, but it's definitely somebody he needs to adapt on. Like you've said, he's got 700 plus games in management. You'd think by now he would adapt a different style of play, but I haven't seen too much different of, the little bits I saw of you playing in National League to now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very, like today, there was no one, and Ivan will talk about this too. There was no time on the ball. It was get rid of it, hot potato, put the ball down the pitch. I don't think we stepped on the ball once and had like any possession. It was just head tennis back and forth. And, I equate it to like a Big Sam. I didn't think he was in that nature of how he's going to play. No adjusting. But I was surprised that there was no change. We talk about this, and I'll pass to Ivan about changing tactics A, but B, you're going to change the system. Like, could we go 4-4-2? Is that a possibility? I know, like I said, no one's going to play tiki-taka pet football probably most of the time in this league, but I don't know. We're playing a 3-5-2 and it's not working. Like it's really not working.
The thing is, in this division, I think the way Parkinson plays, I think a 3-5-2 and the way that you set up and the players you have, I do think in terms of the shape, the 3-5-2 works, because it gives you the really, really easy option of having these short passes, having the ability to counter press, even if it's just by making triangles of where your players are located, just so you can ease the pressure off. It should be a situation of a 3-5-2 again, especially in this league where there's not the technical qualities of, the Championship and the Premier League, the 3-5-2 is, you could argue, the best formation to counter a press, because you've got the easy options of your wing backs either joining the midfield and giving these options to ease the press, or they can track back, and all of a sudden you have these extra defending options that can cover your back necessarily. So it's the 3-5-2, and I think it's something that Newport have been playing. We've been playing a 3-5-2 or 5-3-2, if you want to say it that way. Like, it is, in terms of this division, I think especially, it should be anyway the perfect formation. But it may be your team in terms of, I know you've got a lot of striking options, so maybe you can almost adapt this long ball to work. If you are to play a 4-4-2, all of a sudden you've got an extra option up front as a striker, to where, should you hit a long ball, there's more of a chance of it falling to one of your strikers. But then again, you need to question, are your strikers going to be able to compete with the physical centre-backs that are in League Two?
I'll pass that to Ivan. At this point, we have not. And I knew you had your clipboard on earlier talking about how people are running away, no movement, but I'll pass it on to Ivan. We have not been able to deal with any physicality anywhere on the park at all.
Well, yes, you're right. And what I wanted to say is that the 3-5-2, to echo what Kieran is saying, works really well when you have good players, good quality. All right, and Wrexham on paper has very good quality. So that's why Parky plays that system, because he started playing the system in National League. He had free reins of buying good players. He spent all the money. Almost in each position, the players that we have, they are better than the opposition. Okay, so quality individual if they perform better, right? But the thing is that 3-5-2, there is a difference between the system and the formation. Okay, so the same formation can be played differently. Okay, 3-5-2 has dozens of different variations. Okay, unfortunately, I'm not sure for whatever reason, and again, I'm not an expert, I'm just an enthusiasm that studies football every now and then, all right? Unfortunately, Phil Parkinson chooses to play probably the simplest version of 3-5-2. Okay, and I don't understand why that is. 3-5-2, my personal favorite formation and the system is 4-5-1. Okay, just because I find 4-5-1 is very simple to transition into other systems as you go, depending on how the game is going. But 3-5-2 is probably my second favorite. Okay, 3-5-2 needs to work like a slinky ball. All right, so slinky ball, breathing ball. If you guys Google breathing ball, you remember that old toy that you pull out and then you pull back in? One of the most standard ways of playing 3-5-2 is having a nice tight defensive block when you're defending, when everybody slides to the strong side, and then when you're attacking, it's like a breathing ball, everybody expands, and you keep the proportions, the distances between the players need to stay the same. So even though the ball is expanding, the distances between the players are staying the same. And that eliminates the need for long balls, because you can gradually increase the length of the pass as you move up the pitch. We don't have it. We either have a short ball, comes from goalkeeper to a center back, or to a left back, or to left winger or right winger, and then all of a sudden, instead of moving all together as a unit and providing continuous options, everybody statically waits in their places. The other team pressing high covers the passing lanes, and that guy who's holding the ball at the back has no other option but to launch it forward. Okay, and it's been happening all season. That's what I've been talking about before. But your luck runs out. Your individual performances, they run out as the season goes. League Two is a physical league, and people get banged up. So sooner or later, you will stop being successful at just beating player on player individually, and that's when the system works. When the system is working, for example, you have TOC out with an injury, there should be another guy slotting right back in, and the system will keep working, but it doesn't, because there is no system. So with me saying that maybe it's time for Parkinson to step down, he will not. Unfortunately, he will not. Is that usually people say when your coach is leaving, the team is in the fourth place now, not a bad result still. Okay, so when the when the team is still up top, a lot of people say if your coach leaves, the new one comes in. But the problem is that the new coach will destroy the foundation, the work that the old coach was doing. We're in the position when there is nothing to destroy, because there was no system created. He just collected players of a great ability and relied on them to see. He said it himself. It's not my words. It's his words. He said it many times. We will play what we see. So he relied on them to play what they see. That will only work for limited amount of time. Okay, and that I can apply what I just said to literally every game of the season. There was not a single game where that did not apply. When players played well, and the feedback that he gives, I understand that when he's in front of the camera and there's a press conference or pre-post game situation, he says things that are simple to digest for general punter. But whether you want it or not, every coach still slips in a terminology that they use in the locker room. It's because he's under stress. That personality steps in. So, and he says the same thing all the time, and it basically boils down to we need to play better. We need to do better. That doesn't work. That just doesn't work. Sooner or later, it's motivation is like wetting the bed. Sooner or later, you will get up. I will.
By the way, great stuff, guys. Everyone's liking an absolute great analysis on both parts. It is, and appreciate Ivan and Kieran coming on. Kieran, I'll give you a little bit. I'll put you on the spot in regards to. Do you know anything about Jack Marriott and about Bolton that came in here? And about how we should use them, implement into the squad, and anything on those notes? Obviously, like I said, watch a little bit more League Two than we have lately. Any hints there how we can use these guys to change things up?
I mean, I remember listening. I've talked to a few Salford fans about Luke Bolton, and even they say that there's very little to kind of mention about him in terms of the direct way you play him. What he's referred to by even not just Salford fans, but by football terminology as a raw talent. He develops based off of what you want, and given you don't have a system that is direct, that is, the stereotypical and standard way of playing 3-5-2. And
can I ask real quick? I'm going to play dummy here real quick, and I mean to cut you both out there. Like, how do we get this far without having the system? I'm like, I know we're in second place. Is it just moments of brilliance? I mean, I'll get back to you guys. I'm just baffled. It's like I don't want to throw the baby at the bathwater, get rid of the. That's not what we're doing here. But like, how did we get so far? Is it just moments of brilliance? Sorry, go ahead, Kieran. I apologize.
Because almost every.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
You go first.
Because almost every player in every position that we have is better than almost any other team's player. And when they play well, they can beat them one-on-one. But that luck doesn't last all season. That's literally, as simple as it sounds, that's the reason. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kieran.
No, that is literally the exact words I was going to say. When you have the influence, the money, the ability that Wrexham have to bring players in, it's something unlike you ever already see in League Two. Every League Two team, you can adapt them to a play style, but you can also adapt where their players are that are necessarily weaker than others. If you had a system where it is dedicated to the players you have, even if you had players that don't quite work the standard 3-5-2 system of, the expand the further you get up the field, even if you didn't have players to necessarily fit that module, you can bring players in without a problem that can do that. And that's what you've got. You've got something unlike any club in the lower leagues of football have. And that is quite literally bring players in that are 20 times better than anyone else in this division. Like you said, if your players, if they're all having good individual games, they will beat every single player in League Two one-on-one. If you had a strategy and a way of play alongside with it, you'd be winning every game. Or at least you'd be able to say, look, we're competing and having satisfactory performances in every game. You're not going to win every game because that's not how football works. You're always going to have an off day. But theoretically speaking, if you look at every single squad in League Two on paper, yours is miles better than everyone else's, which is why you've done so well. But there's a point where managers can just make a system that counteracts what necessarily is pretty much just individual performances. Managers can go, look, this player's dangerous, keep the ball as far away from them as possible. And your setup doesn't know how to counter that.
So we're in this part, we're thinking that Parky's been a little bit found out, and he's, we're not been able to change the system. We need to either figure it out or get effed. Or I think, not that, like I said, I want to throw a baby out in the bathwater, and I think it's not doom and gloom, but we need to make some changes. And Parkinson basically getting out tactician at this point. The Welshman says, "Sorry, just joined. Where's Kieran from?" I'll let him tell you he's a Newport County supporter, but a good guy, knows a lot about League Two, and wanted to come on and have his say. And well, like I said, it's a local pundit, and everyone's welcome. So yeah, he's been fantastic, and he's been great. And Ivan's here, as you know, Ivan. This goes back to Hunter Barrow, because we have some extremely talented players, but like Ivan says, that luck will eventually run out. I hope we can catch it before we do. If you can't win with that kind of talent and resources, the coaching is the problem. I was worried for a second he was a jack. I don't know what that means.
Swansea.
Oh, Swan. Oh, okay, Swans. Sorry. Yeah, no. He's UTC. So on that note, where do we go from here? And again, I know Kieran, by the way, before we go there, how did you guys get on today? I'll give you that platform for today. And where are you guys at in your season?
I mean, of course, 2-1 against Swindon, given what they did in terms of transfer business on deadline day and through the window. Phenomenal result in its own regard. And this is the difference that I think we have between both clubs. Evidently, and it's clear, and we've been talking about it the whole time, you have quality individuals better than the rest of the league. But the thing Graham Coughlin has, which is our manager, that Phil Parkinson doesn't, is a setup. Not just one, but 2, 3, 4. 4 different ways of playing against an opposition. We started that game off very defensive. The players that we had played, I won't go into names and specifics because that doesn't benefit at all. But within short, we had played 2 CDMs for the most part, in terms of, if you're going to generalize them, 2 defensive midfielders that will stay deep and won't push forward. And then you play someone who is an attacking midfielder. There was no gap in that kind of central role to be able to kind of traverse between those 3. We play a 3-5-2. You'd imagine you can't really expand very evenly throughout the field if you're playing 2 defensive midfielders and then you go straight up to an attacking midfielder. So the first half, it was pretty much 2 teams countering each other. We'd played very similar to what sounds like what you did. Mm-hmm. We'd got pressed, booted it up the field, and kind of just hoped it'd fall to one of our players. And we've had success with that because we've got our own individual qualities. But in the same way that you'll find out, and you've already found out to a degree, your luck runs out in that regard. So we went into the second half. We changed it up. We brung off one of the defensive midfielders for a lot more of a balanced central midfielder, and that meant that we were able to create things. We were able to actually expand and be able to play football that is a lot more advanced and a lot more balanced and allowed us to attack well. But conveniently, first minute into the second half, we go and concede. Lack of concentration. I'd also imagine there was a level of complacency because we were being very lethargic, very kind of, lazy, admittedly, not playing the usual intensity and usual passing movements that we were used to. And it almost felt like we got caught off guard, and we ended up just falling kind of into almost what felt like a bit of a rut. Swindon were able to utilise the new pacey wingers that they have, and they were able to score through a debutant. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name. So we had, I'll answer that in a minute, but short answer, no. And I will also say that about Mullen. But, in terms of the Newport game, what we ended up switching to after conceding, and I said this to a few people around me, conceding was a good thing because we needed something to wake us up and make us actually play to the usual level and the usual consistencies that we had. And conceding was exactly what we needed. We needed the away end starting to, chant and dance and be happy that they've scored for us to realise, look, we're letting down our home fans. This isn't how we usually play. Let's sort it out. So all of a sudden, we're now creating, these diamonds of passing play and almost just passing it from A to B just around the Swindon opposition. Couldn't get a final foot onto it, but then conveniently, and I think this was a lot more of a mental thing, you noticed that the home crowd got behind the players a lot more. The Swindon players almost looked like they noticed a few of our players that were pressing, that were putting in efforts, and they were, as you'd expect, marking those options. And that led Will Evans to just literally poke home his 20th of the season, which, be able to say that about a team that is, 13th in League Two is remarkable. And then it was more of the same. We were pressing them, causing them problems, not allowing them to play their football how they wanted to, expanding our range of passes so we could do exactly what we wanted to do and near enough control where the ball was. And it ended up with us scoring kind of, 75 minutes into the game. This was after all the Swindon players had kind of been brought on and rotated, because there was one thing that Swindon mentioned, is that they play a three at the front. That's what they do. One striker, two wingers. They can rotate that just with their bench, and they have the same on-paper qualities. I don't think it benefited them, because one of the players they had brought on was kind of a less physical striker, and you're bringing him on for Charlie Austin. Oh, yeah. And given the system that it was working up until the final pass, and that's where you rely on Charlie Austin, because they weren't directing the ball towards him, because we noticed he was the obvious danger player and just kept him out of the equation. So he had to come off, but I don't think he came off for the right player. So they kind of just died their attack down, and near enough for the final 10 minutes, we bullied them. We kept the ball over their end of the pitch and just held it. We didn't need to score. There was a point where we brought on two more physical, less pacey strikers and just ran the ball to the corner and held it. You don't need to. I think this is something that a lot of managers fall accustomed to, and it's why they kind of get in trouble with their job securities and all this, the kind of stuff in between, is that they think they have to score as many as possible. And bluntly so, you don't. So long as you have one more goal than the opponent, it's 3 points. It doesn't change anything. So I think a lot of people who have, faced Newport, a lot of teams that have faced Newport, their fan base of when Newport play ugly football. It can be ugly football on paper. It doesn't have to be pretty. So long as it works, it works. And I think it was a game of two halves. The first half, we were below par, below expectation, but so was Swindon. Both teams upped their game, but we managed to kind of clock on to some things that they were doing. And I think this was credit to some of the signings they had made, not quite gelling, because they haven't even had a training session yet. They just kind of went straight into a match. Mm-hmm. We realized the weaknesses that they had, mainly in kind of just dealing with pressure. And I think that's what a lot of League Two teams do. And it was what it sounds like, again, you did today, what you did when you played us. You struggled to deal with us pressing you. And that's what Swindon did. They struggled. And I think it's a default that all League Two teams struggle with. Like I mentioned, unless you're Wrexham, who have quality far above anyone in League Two, League Two defenders especially make errors, wherever they're positioned wrong, wherever they make the wrong pass. And they do this off the basis. They don't have to be pressed to do that. But when you're also adding two attackers into the mix right next to you, it tends to be a thing of League Two defenders panic. They're not composed like you'd imagine a Premier League centre-back will be. And they'll make the wrong decision, whether that be pass it into a line of opposition or whether it be kick it up the field for just the sake of keep that ball as far away from you as possible. So there's a way you've got to play against League Two teams that you cannot play the same style of football against a Premier League team, because they'll just be composed and they'll deal with it. We tried to do against United. Given it worked twice, but when you're pressing to the level we press, if you are playing against a team of quality that are able to deal with a press and are able to break down a press and get out of the trouble and are able to counterattack with pace, that's where we get into trouble. But not many League Two teams can do that because they don't have the quality. And it's why I understand some people saying about you sacking Parky, because at the end of the day, if you bring in a manager that most League Two and League One teams play a press, most of them do in one way or another. There's kind of many ways to kind of play a press, the level of intensity and all this stuff, but most of them will base their football around a press to make you uncomfortable because of the quality you've got. If you've got a manager that is able to able to schedule a counterattack and kind of fix one, you'll be golden. And I understand why some people will be getting frustrated, because you have the quality to literally counter attack every single team in this division, but you don't utilize it because you don't have a manager that is adapted to that.
Apparently not. Like today, Ivan was talking about the back line there, about having people come in that normally are there. But our back line today was, I think, the worst it's been all season. So, great analysis on there too. Go ahead.
There is on the back line, there is no coincidence that both me and you, Josh, and other guys in our group, we called a completely different back line. And then again, we are not in the room. We're not in the locker room. We don't know of those little injuries and niggles that those boys have. But the back line that was played today, it was a disaster.
Yeah, they haven't played together. Ton of clips from those guys. They said haven't played in 12 months together. 12 months.
They haven't played. Yeah.
That's the thing. You need, especially at the back, and again, especially when most teams in League Two and League One press and make you uncomfortable, you need a defence that are able to communicate together and are able to get in the positions where you can completely kill the press off, because it only takes 2 passes to all of a sudden that attack that are pressed are in the wrong position, and you have the ability to counter-attack easily.
Exactly, and again, to sort of add a little bit more of a tactical explanation, because there's one thing that I really don't like when people just keep on using broad terms. When we always say press doesn't happen on its own. Okay, it's not just like people run up the pitch. Press happens on clues. Okay, so the forwards and the person who initiates the press, they look for certain parts of the game. If the ball is going to the defender too high, if it bounces, if the pass is bad, if there is a bit of bad pitch, there are certain clues when people start pressing. Okay, and the smart defenders will actually trick forwards and midfielders into what's called a false press. Okay, but that requires, like Kieran said, communication. And that requires chemistry between defenders. So when you're playing when you're a D-man, you can actually make the people who are playing against you, the forwards, believe that you're in trouble, that it's a clue for them to start pressing. And then all of a sudden, within 2-3 passes, like Kieran said, you're out of the press and you're attacking. And they just left a huge gap in their center line. These things are basics. It's not even League Two stuff. That's Sunday League stuff. It looked worse than a Sunday. I played better games than this, and I'm not even kidding. We have the squad that should be winning League One on paper. And they don't. So what happens there is there's also such a thing as mental fatigue. Okay, when you have a challenging game after challenging game in a row, when you go 2 down, you man down, and then you go in and win, everybody's happy. But it's a tank of fuel that you have, tank of gas, and every time you win that kind of game, you run out of gas. You will run out of that gas. You can't keep doing that every time. And that's what we are looking at right now. That's why when a lot of people in the chat and everybody says, our sky is not falling down. Yes, it's not yet.
Yeah,
but to a somewhat educated eye, you see the tendency, you see the trends, and it's like watching a slow-mo car wreck. The car is going towards the wall, and you're like, we are about to eat it. Yeah. We need to do something, and like, please don't get me wrong. I'm not being negative. I think that this issue can be fixed, but the work needs to start.
I think we got punched in the mouth a couple times. Like Newport started it, and then we got hit again with the Blackburn game, and then today, if we don't recover on that, then we're going to be in trouble. I'll go back to this one, Kieran and Evans. Maybe I'll give you both of it. This is out of my league. What do you guys think on that?
In terms of the Welsh squad, again, my short answer is no. And the reason being is that I think in terms of player quality, there's players in the Welsh squad that far deserve it more. Not even out of a technical standard, but out of where they are in their career. Aaron Collins, for example, he's a Bolton now. He doesn't get into the contention for the most part for the Wales team, and he's in the top end of League One. Why would you call, and it's just a generic thing, why would you call someone in League Two? Bear in mind, he hasn't moved clubs. He's definitely got the ability to move clubs. But as of right now, and you can't argue with it, he's a League Two player. The way a national team should work, because of how kind of small your selection pool is, you can only bring players in that are representing your country and they represent Wales. So in that context, why would you choose the lower league standard players? Bear in mind, Will Evans, you look at his numbers, he's doing better than Aaron Collins, but the standard of league is different. It's why League One's higher than League Two. It's why the Championship's higher. If there was a player, that played for a kind of bottom end League One club, and they played in a similar position, I'd be saying they get over, because at the end of the day, in terms of a national team standard, you've got to pick the best of what you can select. Mm-hmm. And the generic consensus is the higher up the leagues you are, for the most part anyway, the better you are.
Yeah. And we'll wrap it up in a minute here. We're coming up to an hour. Unless anyone wants to come in and have their say. And this is such good analysis, and we're kind of getting like a full-throated here. I think I had the rant, and then we're just like kind of looking at the league, which is kind of cool to see. On that note, Ivan, I wanted to ask you about Mulls. About you think needs a rest. And about Jack Marriott too coming in. What are you thinking? Give him drop him for a game or two?
I would like for Mulls to maybe start on the bench the next game as just for a striker. It's a good way to reset, maybe to just observe, because Marriott is coming in. I'm not sure Mulls have been following Marriott, and then watching from the sideline would be good for him, just to understand the way Jack is playing, and then maybe partner them up and see what happens. That's what I reckon.
Do you know anything about Jack Marriott, Kieran?
Very little, in all honesty. I'd kind of searched up his career beforehand, and it's a standard signing for League Two, and given the position he's in, and given you've got quality in the kind of striker department in this area of the pitch. So to me, I'd entirely agree. Give Paul Mullin a game on the bench to observe, to watch, to understand kind of where he fits in this partnership, and it very much falls back to that mental fatigue. He's playing game in, game out, and he's playing really tough games. So I think just for his kind of mental state in terms of wanting and being able to go up to the next level in order to compete and add more competitive edge to the squad, I think you got to give Marriott a go, even if it is just to kind of remind Mullin that, look, we have the ability to bring in strikers, to bring in players that can, as harsh as it put, that can replace you. So it'll potentially mean that he gets into a level of training harder, of understanding the game a bit more. Not that he's already established in that, but, him potentially working into a setup, should you do that under Parkinson, I don't know kind of the future of him. He won't get sacked, let's be fair. You're fourth in League Two. It doesn't merit that, but you've got to look at it, potentially not in League Two, but I definitely think in League One, should you get into this run of inconsistency and kind of have this level of staying in League One for a good few years, staying without being able to go up and all this stuff, you've got to think, You have the ability to bring. You have the ability to bring in players far better than League One. So that's when you start questioning the coach. Is when you necessarily reach a plateau of you're not moving any higher up, even though you have the facilities and the ability to upgrade, every stature of the football club.
Yeah, then no one is untouchable for sure. GLU coach says game plan failed us today. Waited too long to switch formation. Waited too long to make any subs. The Welshman says game plan went out the window after the first goal. The whole team panicked. Totally agree. And then Hunter Barrow says the game plan. Yeah, it's a rough one. Yeah. Exactly. I think it's a repeat of what's been going on. But
I struggle to see a game plan whatsoever. Even before we conceded, it was just a pinball and head tennis straight away.
Yeah,
I'm sure there was a game plan, but I did not see it at all. Maybe you guys in the chat tell us what you think it was.
Yeah. I even when you came to Newport, I understand you had the red card, which I'd assume you have a genuine consensus on whether that was a red. I'll still say it was a Stonewall red in that scenario, but I understand the red card can divert a game plan and can divert your attentions elsewhere. For the most part, when you go down to 10 men, the first thing a coach will think of is solid, get strengthen at the back, don't concede. That's what most of them will go. Some of them will go, you throw everything we can at them, just try and cause them problems and don't allow them near our goal. And, it can divert game plans. But even before you have the red, you can tell that for the most part, Parkinson, it might not even just be Parkinson, it might just be the coaches and kind of just everyone at the club. They're relying on the quality players you have to kind of just create things on the spot for the most part. There's no pre-planned game plan. It's literally go out there, try as hard as you can to watch what's going on and adapt on the spot, which some games you can do because some teams are really easy to read.
Yeah.
But other times when you're playing Newport, when you're playing Salford, they're really hard to read and you kind of can't get to a point, for the most part anyway, where you can understand how they're playing just by watching it. And even communicating, you have to communicate to all 11 players on that field, this is how we're going to play. And it's very hard to do that when you're playing the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you're involved in it. Walsh once said, I said yesterday they would play a long ball game. If we had Mark Smith out of the game, who was brilliant today, I thought he was really well up front, kept everyone busy. They would have changed tactics. We played to their game instead. Totally. GLU coach's game plan seems to be initiated from long balls into the front line. No build up. No zero build up play. And that's
no, but that doesn't take a game plan. To initiate the game with long balls, that doesn't take a game plan. That's exactly. So going back to what Parkinson keeps saying every time, play what you see. And I completely agree with Welsh. We dumb down to weaker opposition. Mm-hmm. We just that's what Wrexham does. We dumb down to that, okay, and we go back to that simplistic football instead of trying to use the quality of the players and actually create a nice short passing game, which is 3-5-2 is perfect for it.
Yeah. What did we say? Is it get the ball in the park, have someone step on it, push it out wide, and let's get the balls in the box. And that was not happening today. It was just lump it up.
It's the thing with 3-5-2. It's literally the perfect formation for creating chances, and it's the perfect formation that should you have the quality players, it's the perfect formation for everything. For being able to attack, being able to defend, being able to transition from both really flawlessly. You have a plan in that system. It works 99% of the time.
Mm-hmm. Walsh once says their manager hadn't had many training sessions with the team. I bet there was their only tactic. Yeah, but that's not really a tactic. That's just Big Sam lumping it up and knocking it down. And even that,
I would say that in terms of playing Wrexham, you don't necessarily have to develop a tactic or develop more than one. You can just watch one game of Wrexham because that's the way you play. You don't have any other way. You can watch one game and know how you're going to play the next week and the week after that. That's the reality of Wrexham, and that's the one thing that you kind of struggle with, and it's not something that can't be fixed. Mm-hmm. It is something that you can develop, and you can definitely do with the qualities you've got. You can definitely probably do it quicker because there's players there that are a lot more professional and they're a lot more higher stature for a reason. They'll listen to a manager, but he's just not utilizing it. He's literally relying on these players to create things as they go. And it is the same. It's long ball. It doesn't work for the most part anyway.
I agree with Kieran. I agree with Welsh. It actually is a tactic because they know that Wrexham will dumb down to that. We'll use that again. They see us doing that week in and week out.
Yeah, we're repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again. So, but
sometimes we just get a bit more lucky. That's it.
Yeah, you're right. Sometimes we get the luck. Listen, and I know Kieran, you didn't see it. Mulls could have put it away. Could have been 2-2. He put it wide. He was like from here to here. He missed a header. I don't know how he did it. I mean, it was a bad mess. And like I said, that would have been another moment. But it might have changed the course of the game. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, the problems are still there. It's just papers over the cracks, So I think we're a critical mass here.
Like even when you win games, you've got to look at it from a tactical perspective. You've got to go, did we beat them because we were better than them tactically and ability-wise? Or did we beat them because we had a lucky bounce or because our players had the ball fall to them or they were able to use their individual qualities to dribble past a player? You've got to look at it, even when you win, you've got to look at it from that perspective as well.
Yeah, you can't go on.
100% agree.
Yeah. You can't we're really great. Let's just keep if you win games. You think Pep, he goes and he wins a match. And he's like, hey, let's look how great the things were, what we did right. No, let's look what we did wrong, so we can improve those things. And I think that's where we have to. I think we got to take these 2 steps back to move forward. So
because you can become a lot more convincing and a lot more consistent if you notice what you do wrong in the games you win. Like that. That's the reality of it. You can patch those mistakes and all of a sudden you can win games convincingly with clean sheet and everything else in between. But because it almost feels like you're just taking games as they go and ignoring it, like the second the full-time whistle goes, you move on.
Yeah,
it doesnn't work that way. That's not how, you'd absolutely love if it worked that way. You'd love if you'd be able to just go, yeah, that game's done, we move on and we will ignore that it ever happened because we won. But you'll notice probably your mistakes more in the games you win at the end of the day. You'll probably notice them more.
Yeah, to figure out what we do. I mean, it's basically life. Figure out what you do wrong, try to improve those things, to figure out what you do right, and those are the things you keep consistent, and then improve on the things you do bad. So, yeah. I'll wrap it up there unless you guys have anything else you guys want to get going. We've been on for over an hour, which is great. It's a lot of fun, good tactical analysis, and maybe keep rounding it out a little bit more too on the show. So it's awesome. And any last words to either one of you?
Just wanted to say thank you very much, Kieran. It's been a real asset talking to you, and please join us again because it's great to bounce ideas and talking to somebody who's got that outsider's perspective.
Yeah, of course. I'll thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed it. In terms of course, the club I support, I don't support Wrexham, but I like I said when I joined here the first time, I think I've got a viewpoint that is quite neutral, and of course I don't watch you week in, week out, so I can't comment on the individual qualities of your players. I can just comment on the statistics you have and kind of just the basis of everything. So I can talk to it a lot more generically and a lot more kind of default than if it was my own team.
It's a great perspective. And by the way, that's why, I didn't intentionally go into calling this the Wrexham show, whatever. That's why it is the local pundit. And there's a bigger idea. But, meeting good people like Kieran and Ivan and everyone else, yes, they become this Wrexham Central, which is great. But, it's a 360 view, and I'm happy to get everyone on and have their say. So it's awesome. So thank you for coming on. Always welcome, Kieran. And we'll definitely be in touch soon. So thank you.
Of course. No worries at all. Thank you for having me.
All right, Chris. We'll talk. Good luck for the rest of the season as well. We'll talk soon before then, for sure.
Of course, definitely. That's as much as we both support Welsh clubs, and there's always the rivalry and stuff when we play. I wish you all the best. It's always nice to see an extra Welsh team in the pyramid, anyway.
No, it's fantastic. It's really good to see. Awesome. Thanks for coming on.
All the best. Take care.
All right.
Take care.
Kieran. Ivan, thank you. That's good. Thank you, Kieran. I appreciate you coming on, man. It's awesome. Ivan, last words on you. What are you thinking going into this? And Carol in HR says, no. Go ahead.
if this is not a wake-up call, I don't know what is. So I would like to see the team playing their hearts out the next game, but not just the individual performances. I would like to see the first seeds of the actual system appearing. We're not the we're not one of the smartest people in the room, and I think people at the club, they do understand the dynamics and the trends. So I hope that we are learning the lessons and moving on with positivity.
Yeah, I agree too. I think maybe this is I keep saying I thought the last one would be the punch in the mouth, last one would be punch in the mouth. Okay, maybe third time's a charm, and maybe we can get this back. So, we'll have a full week of training with the new lads. Maybe he'll adjust some few things here and there. And, Parkinson, well, what he was saying, get on the training ground, have a look at ourselves, and, maybe recover next week against Bradford City. Because it's now it's the time. Yeah, we have a lot of points to go. But if we don't turn it around now, if we get into the playoffs, we don't want to be in the playoffs. There's three automatic places to go up. We should be in one of them. We should be. But nothing's played on paper. So.
It will be a huge disappointment and a great waste of time to not get promoted this year.
Yeah, it'll be a tough one. But it's a tough loss day. We lost 3-1. Wrexham Reaction with a 360 view there, which is great. It's good to see on again, and we're enjoying this. And what is it? It's Sunday night for you? No, Monday morning. What time is it? Monday?
It's 11:30 Sunday.
Jesus H. Okay. All right. Well, it's bedtime, I guess, right? No, morning.
No, it's morning.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool. Well, that's great. That's great. By the way, Kieran says, I really enjoyed it. In a generic sense, you should all be tough. Yeah. There you go. You should be.
And that's why we're getting annoyed when things like that happen. And we get a lot of boys and ladies in the Discord talking about that's not the end of the world. It's not, but when you do have just a tiny little bit understanding about football, you see where it's heading, and we need to break that. We need to break that cycle.
Yeah, it's a look in the mirror moment for everybody. 360 view, and inside the locker room, say you need to do better at this. You need to do this. And get a tactic, whatever that is. I know. This. I'm starting to notice the non-tactic. It needs to be figured out.
Yeah, get a system going. Start developing the system.
Yep. Because if we're gonna go up, next year can be even harder.
Look, if we go up with what we got right now, next year is going to be a lot harder, and we will need to rehaul everything during the mid-season, and that's not what you want to do. You want to have some kind of a basis.
Welshman asks if you're on Instagram.
Yes, I am, but I'm not too active there. I'm on Facebook a lot.
Yeah. Well, if you're Welshman, if you're in the Discord, DM him on so find him there. We're all in the Discord, so all right. Wrap it up there. It's good chat, man. Really good join the chat, commentary, everything, meeting everybody. So it's a lot of fun. Even though when the loss happens, we got to move on. So it's good. It's good to be a part of it. So Carol says, may not be hashtag Parky out, but it's time to definitely look in the mirror. A losing promotion issue will be Parky out. Yeah.
I don't want to think about it. Currently, the way it stands, it's not out of the question. Losing the promotion, but look, it's everybody says there's a lot of games left. Yes, but you see how tight the table is.
Oh, yeah, tough league. Yeah, really good fun, guys. Just appreciate you having me on. Always take care. Thanks, Kieran. Good to have you on too. Always welcome. Yeah.
Thank you, Kieran. That was great. Come back again, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Aaron says great stuff. Again, thank you, Aaron, Hoosiers guy. Yeah, I don't even know what to say. Well, I'm going to go hang out with the missus and enjoy the Saturday, but also good to catch up. And we'll catch up tomorrow, yeah?
Absolutely. Yeah. Right. Have fun, guys, and take care. See ya.
Take care. See you tomorrow. Later. All right. That is Ivan. Love Ivan. It's awesome. Good new addition. Kieran coming in. Had Mike on earlier, which is great. Always John coming in. All people in the chat. It's awesome. Really enjoying these. Aaron, thank you very much. Yeah. Trying to, try new things, do new things, having fun, and just trying to figure it out. There's no pressure here. We're very nimble as we grow. So, and please find us up in the Discord. Things you want to see, don't want to see, want a little bit more of, just let me know. We're happy to do it. We do interviews. Might have on Richard Williams on Wednesday morning, which is great. That'll be a record. because it's early for me, not for him. So it might be a record for him interviewing Richard Williams about the team. So no, it's all good. I usually hate these, but liking this little community. Thanks to Washington. We're liking it too. Final point. Kieran says the league is so close that Newport 13th is only 4 points off the playoffs. I think Newport will be there and thereabouts in the playoffs for sure. So I'll be definitely looking out. And I wish I had the iFollow so I can watch more games, which is frustrating. Maybe next year we all can. We're going to see Wrexham and Newport go up. That'd be great. Yeah, that'd be great. I think Newport's held a great account of themselves against us and against Manchester United, even though they lost in the cup. So NC Swans gone. See the Swans go to National League. The Welsh are getting at it. All right, listen, that is your Wrexham reaction, plus a little bit extra spice to it, which is great. A lot of fun. Got a lot to do this week. Parkinson's thoughts afterwards are going to be, going to echo. We'll talk a little bit more deeper in depth tomorrow. But we go down Wrexham reaction today. That's it. So happy Saturday. Stay within yourself. So on that bombshell, I will see you all later.